Okay, let's start. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I've got a note here. Make sure, am I recording? Yes, I am recording. Okay, good.
Tim, do you still have me?
Yes, I do. Who was that, Bob?
Yeah, I've lost, for some reason, I lost the picture, but
Okay, so I just skipped already the intro. I'm Tim Colopy, Mayor of the Village of Millbrook. And this is the April 21st meeting of the Village of Millbrook Board of Trustees. We've already had the pledge. So Sarah, could you do the roll call of the trustees?
Sure. Mayor Colopy,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Herzog,
Here.
Trustee Contino,
Here.
Trustee Arbogast.
Here.
Thank you. Let me first go to the agenda. I'll quickly go through this. So this is our April 21st meeting. We'll start off with a review of the minutes. Then we'll talk about the vouchers. I want to make a special notice here to all the department heads. Our fiscal year does end the 31st of May. And what we want is all the invoices for work done prior to May 31st to be presented by the June meeting so we can pay them June. And so we can close the book so we can get our annual update report going that we owe to the New York State Controller's Office. We'll talk about that in a minute. So just so you know, we got a real focus on trying to get all invoices that have been generated for work done prior to May 31st to be in the front office by June so we can pay them. Next, we're going to have the opening of the bids for the highway truck. Then we're going to have Karen give us a year-to-date outlook for the budget. Because again, we're getting very close to the end of this fiscal year. We're going to talk about the trust monies, how we should handle that now that Ian's worked to get those monies freed up for us. We have a couple of public assembly permits I'm going to talk about. I'm going to do that right there at the top. And then we'll go into the department reports. A pretty standard agenda. We'll close with the board member updates. And as far as the mayor update, just one focus will be on, it's time to start soliciting applicants to fill the trustee position vacated by Kevin McGrain. Okay, any questions there? All right, first let's talk about the minutes. By separate email, Sarah has sent out a copious number, probably 8 minutes for meetings held between March 8th and I think April 7th, primarily focused on the budget activities. I think there was one actual board meeting there, but most of them were budget related meetings. Have the trustees had a chance to review those minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Any questions, comments, or corrections to be made?
No.
No.
Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion to accept the meetings minutes?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's go to the vouchers. Okay, so we have vouchers for this month from the general fund totaling $110,000. From the Bedrock Well Fund, $8,556. From the Water Fund, $10,450. And from the Sewer Fund, $24,178. For a total of $153,249.69. Can I get a motion to accept the vouchers as reported?
I'll motion.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. Just to go reiterate what I said before, to all the department heads. We're really focused on trying to get all the vouchers for work done by May 31st in the front office by June. Anyone see any issue with doing that?
No,
Okay, Scott, Ted,
Good on my end.
okay. Matt,
That's fine.
I don't foresee any issue there.
all right, Jared? Where's Jared at? Jared's upstairs.
I think he's having computer issues.
Okay. All right, so by default, then he firmly agrees that what we're doing here. Okay, good.
I'll make sure he gets those invoices in.
That's the best thing we could ask for. Okay, great.
That's right.
All right, fine.
Borrow my cattle prod.
All right, next I'm going to open up the bids for the highway truck. This is the 1992 truck that Bob just replaced with a brand new truck. I've got two bids here. And I guess I just open them up. And try not to get a paper cut. What I do is, sir, I just read the bid.
Yes.
The town of Millbrook, 42120. My bid on the GMC Top Kick 1992 is $2,100. Carmine Palumbo of Saw Point, New York. I, Steve Zawati, would like to bid $888 for the 1992 Top Kick GMC with a signature. So we have a bid for $888 and a bid for $2,100. So Sarah, what do? I just make a motion to accept the $2,100 bid?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the $2,100 bid from Carmine Palumbo to purchase the GMC Top Kick for $2,100. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Sarah, is that it?
Yes, we will notify the bid winner and get
Okay,
that all squared away.
very good. Thank you very much. Okay, next, I wanted Karen to give us an update on where we are with the budget. So Karen, I'm going to go to this spreadsheet that you gave me. Is that true?
Yes.
Everyone can see this? Okay, Karen, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll start with the top one, the general fund, and work our way down. The calculation is using the fund balance that's in the annual report from last year. We're adding all year-to-date revenues, we're subtracting out year-to-date expenditures, and we're getting our approximate fund balance. Now, this fund balance is as of after this meeting and after these bills are paid. So a good fund balance for a village our size is probably between the range of 15 and 25%. And it's of the subsequent budget, which is 1,939,241 for next year. So a good fund balance would be 290,886 to about 387,000. So it looks like we're at like 492, 380. So we can do it. It's going to be tight. Everyone's going to really have to stay within their budget and not buy anything that they don't absolutely need. And I think we have 2 more pay periods at the end of the fiscal year. We will have a few accruals in June. So I guess my message here is if we want to grow our fund balance, we need to keep expenses down and try and stay within this range. So we're on track for that for the end of this year. In the water fund, we started the Fund balance was 56,513. Year-to-date revenues, $241,065. Year-to-date expenditures, 239,1. And our fund balance at this point is 58,577. Again, in the sewer, 38,569. Added in the revenues, subtracted out the expenses, we come up with an approximate fund balance of 71,934. In the water and sewer, we do have one more billing cycle to add into this. And Scott, I'll probably work with you and towards after we put the May bills in and kind of see where we're at. We're looking to pay back the loan to the general from the water and the sewer. If we can do that, then that will help out the fund balance in the general fund at the end of the year. So those are the goals, and that's where we're at.
And when exactly will you anticipate paying back those monies from the water and sewer? Will that be before May 31st?
Yeah, I'd like to do it before May 31st, so it's on the books, go in the general fund going into the new year at the end of this year.
Let me put it this way. Do you have to do it by May 31st in order for it to count?
Correct, yes,
You have to.
yes.
Okay, so therefore, in the next month, then you need to pull the trigger. Because I
Right,
would, yeah, okay.
I think once we get all the May bills in, I'll work with Scott and we'll kind of forecast. I'll work with Scott and Sarah and we'll look at what we have for June and July, because July is our next billing to see if we're going to be okay with that till then. So,
Okay, but July's billing is too late for us for catching this year.
correct, but but we need to forecast out to make sure we're going to have enough, enough to pay those bills with
Okay.
this billing period here.
I guess my next question is to the department heads. Do you anticipate any extraordinary expenses that you're going to be coming to get paid in the next month?
Nothing out of the usual.
Yeah, Bob, you just did get the salt bill from the town, so that showed up this month, so that's already there. Anything else that any other department heads have got that's going to end up coming at the very end? And I guess I'm thinking about Matt and Ted. Anything you guys got going on?
I have a project that's awarded to Mark Loboscardine for work that's being done behind the firehouse, but that's about $863.
Okay, I'm thinking about no big projects. I'm thinking about things in the range of $5,000 plus.
Nope, not
No?
on my end.
Okay,
Minus Central Hudson and everything and all the normal stuff.
right. I'm saying normal stuff, we got that baked in, right? And that's why, when Karen shows the 492,000, that's before we've gone to the next billing cycle.
I've got hose testing coming, which usually happens around the third week in May.
Okay,
Going to run about $4,500. And I have 4 sets of turnout gear. The guy's coming on the 4th to size everyone, which will be somewhere in the $8,000 to $10,000 range.
oh, okay, so, and are those going to be invoices we're going to get for this fiscal year, Matt, Ted?
Yes, no, I'll, the invoice for the hose testing should be to me before the 31st, and the one for the turnout gear, there's some lead time on that, but they can give me a pro forma invoice so we can get that bill taken care of.
Perfect. That would be great.
Okay, good, Ted. We really want to see you do that. How about Scott? Anything you've got going on in the water and sewer? Extraordinary expenses?
Nothing right now, but we do have an issue with the clarifier, so I'm hoping to hold out as long as we can. But if something happens to it, then we might have something, but
Yeah, okay, if something happens, how much is it you're talking about?
depends on what we got to do or how long we can go without it, but we're probably going to be closer to 10 grand if I got to replace what I think I have to replace. But we're working on figuring stuff out, so I'm
All right.
hoping to push it off till the next budget. So
All right, that's good information to know, and just keep us posted, Scott.
yep,
And don't wait for the next meeting either. All right, so then that brings me to another topic of discussion I want to just close on, which is the replacement of the oil burner in the hall for the office side. So, we had that in the budget. I think the price is like 13 grand, right?
I believe so. I can look that up right now.
Okay. And in January, when we saw where we were, I asked that we put it off till this time when we decide, can we do it this fiscal year or should we wait till next fiscal year? So Karen, based on the presentation here and what the other department heads have said, I don't see any, grossly abnormal expenditures we need to be buffeted for. Should we give the go-ahead to have the oil burner replaced in the village hall this fiscal year?
Yeah, I think so. It's in the budget and you have enough in that budget line item for it. So, yeah, if you can get it done and have it billed and get the invoice by May 31st.
All right, so Bob, can you follow up and do that?
I'll call him tomorrow.
Very good. Are there any other items that we deferred on like that to have a discussion right now?
Just so be aware that the roof repair of, that was gonna come to $7,000. I'm assuming that we're gonna be doing that also before the end of the year. And I don't know that, again, Bob was in touch with the person who had won the bid, so I'm not sure if he had committed to a date for either May or not, so.
He's already started working on it yesterday.
Oh, good, okay.
And just to reiterate, so that's going to cost us $7,000. And to pay for it, we're going to use $6,000 that's in the hall renovation, what do you call it? Account? What do you call those things? Reserve. Okay, so Karen, we're clear on that?
Yep.
So it'll be $1,000 from the general fund plus 6,000 from the reserve for the hall restoration. Okay, good. Any other topics to discuss regarding the outlook for the close of this fiscal year? All right. And again, if anything comes up extraordinary, just let me know and we'll make sure it gets done. Okay, the other topic, Karen, was regarding the trust accounts. So Ian's got us the approval to pull the monies from those trusts. And again, thank you, Ian, for your good work there. So that's about $43,000. And the question is, where should that money go while we decide what we're going to do with it?
I mean, just so you don't have to create a new account, we could put it in the general fund and then just put it in a fund balance account 806, which is committed fund balance. If you've kind of established where you're committing this money to go to.
We haven't, and it'll probably be to multiple places. I mean, for example, $2,500 of that is pretty much dedicated towards Christmas decorations. And the rest of it we really haven't decided yet. I just want to make sure we have adequate controls that we don't forget, where the money came from and how we're going to spend it.
We can do that, or we could check into maybe doing a sub account for the fund balance for that particular amount. I just hate to make a new bank account just to house this money that you're going to be spending it. Do you think you'll spend it within the next year?
Yes.
So.
I just don't want to put it into, I don't want to put it into another account that's already existing and lose it. You'll lose track of it.
No, I think we can keep track of it. We can keep track of it through, we can put it in the general fund and keep track of it through fund balance.
All righty. Then I do want to talk to the trustees about any ideas they've got for how we want to use that money. Is that a topic for now, or should we just go offline and get some back and forth going and we can have a discussion about that at the next meeting?
I think if we're gonna be, I think we should discuss at the next meeting when we have a clearer picture on exactly what we've got left in the budget for this year and what our anticipated expenses are for June and July. And see exactly what that is. We have some things coming up that we know we're trying to work on, like we're gonna have an engineer study of what it's gonna cost to repair sidewalks in the village and try to get an idea of how much we're gonna be asking for in a grant, if that's possible, but there will be a fee for that. Part of the money could go for sidewalks, either as the study is part of it or for initial repairs that would be done over the summer if we feel something is necessary to be done immediately as opposed to waiting. So I think we should hold off.
Vicky, Buffy, comments? Vicky,
I think we
Buffy,
should, I think we should hold off. So we
Okay.
can get a clearer idea, maybe brainstorm a little bit of where we can use that money.
okay. Vicky,
I agree.
the only thing I don't like about what you said, Mike, is that I want this to be something separate. In other words, I don't want to be part of a $500,000 sidewalk project. I want to be able to stand back and say, we spent this $42,000, for these things that were for the, to improve the whatever of the village. I want to say,
Yeah, I understand. I think what we have to look and we have a whole lot of information to put together on like just how extensively we want to be able to do repairs and what the possibilities are for a grant. I know the grant that we're looking into from the county has a limit of $100,000 that we can apply for. And yet the engineer may point out that to do some of the amount of repairs that he thinks are necessary could be well above that. So that's why I'm saying, that all doesn't have to be part of one project. For instance, there might be sidewalks that need some attention and other parts of the village other than Franklin Avenue that we want to use some of that money for, but it's not in Bob's budget, et cetera. So let's hold off and see. I understand where you're going with the sidewalks, but we're not spending $500,000 on sidewalks in the next 2-3 years at this point. That's not going to happen. So let's see how far we can get on the grant process over the summer.
okay. All right, so 2 follow-ups there. One of them is Karen to just describe where the money's gonna go. And then we just banter about ideas of what we can do with the money. Any other discussions there? Okay, that covers the financial portion there. Karen, you're all finished?
I am. Thank you. If there's any
Okay.
questions, just let me know.
All righty, good, thanks. All right, next, let's talk about the public assembly permits. First off, Arthur Kasak. Could I say your name right, Arthur? Arthur's from St. Joseph Church, and he's got a request for us to approve a procession on June 6th, rain date being June 13th, starting around 1:15 and taking about an hour. Going to go through the village. Franklin, Maple, Barrett Church. Purpose he has here is the procession to bless the village on the feast of the Corpus Christi. He is asking for police, I imagine just for traffic control, right? And this is through the Knights of Columbus of St. Joseph's Church. Any other comments you want to make about this application, Arthur?
I don't see him anymore.
I don't either.
Okay. You're right. Anyone on the board have a problem with approving this?
I don't, we've done this a number of times before and I have no
Right.
problem with it.
And Officer Witt, you okay with police coverage?
Yes,
Okay, good. All right, well, based on that, then I'm gonna approve this permit.
Do you want to make that in the form of a motion or not
Sure.
necessary?
I'd like to
Okay,
make a motion that I approve this permit. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I didn't hear Buffy or Vicky. You guys okay? Vicky's on mute, I see.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good, I'll approve that. Now, the second one is a little more complicated. This is the one from Memorial Day Parade. And so we discussed it last meeting. And I've been in contact with Jeff Museman, who's made the submission. Moseman, sorry. And this is going to be the standard Memorial Day Parade. The only caveat here is we have restrictions from New York State regarding the fact that we're still in a pandemic, that we can't have outdoor assemblies greater than 200 people. And so therefore I had, after our meeting last time when we discussed asking him to tone it down, to make it a somber event, to not have residents in cars following the parade, not throwing out any candy, but just make it a solemn event of a parade with the color guard and the standard number of vehicles. Oh, by the way, just here's trying to enter again. Arthur, you here now?
I'm here.
Arthur, there you are, Arthur. You dropped off on us. While you were gone, we discussed and approved your request for a public assembly permit. Okay. You're on mute, Arthur.
Wait a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now you're off mute.
Thank you very much. And as soon as we have already requested the insurance certificate,
That's
and
what
we will
need
get
to know.
that to the village hall, probably within the next week.
Okay, then when you come, you'll have the copy of the permit signed. You can pick it up then, okay?
Terrific. Thank you very much. Appreciate all your help and cooperation.
You're welcome. Okay, have a good evening.
Good
Let me go
evening.
back to the other assembly permit, this regarding the Memorial Day Parade. So I had a discussion with Jeff about toning it down. He's okay with it. I also talked to Gary Safari, who's going to be the master of ceremonies. And at the meeting last time, Mike, we talked about, let's just have vehicles from the Millbrook Fire Department. Gary said Unionville has always been part of it. It shouldn't be a big deal. He'd recommend we allow Unionville to continue to be participating.
I have no problem with that. That's fine.
Okay. So that's the way it would be. Pretty laid back, typical parade down Franklin, left up past the firehouse, onto Franklin again to lay the wreath at the memorial, and then to march up to the top of the hill where they would have a speech by I think a retired fire chief somewhere. I'm not sure, I forget. But anyway, a speech. I think Gary will be there as well. And we would just ask that they have notification and announcement to make sure that they maintain social distancing. It says here that not only the fire department, but also the rescue squad is going to be involved. And of course, we'd have the police for traffic control. So any questions or comments about that? Any issues with it?
No.
I mean, the risk is if there's more than 200 people that show up, we're just going to have to do something to try to pass the word to get them to disseminate as much as possible, but it is what it is. So at this stage, I'm on the mindset to approve this. Any disagreement?
Yes. I think we should approve it.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, I think we should approve it.
Okay, fine. Can I get a motion?
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll
Second,
second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, now we can go to the standard department reports, starting with Ted and Matt. Hang on. Okay, Matt, Ted, you're up.
Good evening. Report for the month of March is on the screen. A total of 73 alarms, 7 automatic fire alarms, 53 EMS calls, 6 motor vehicle accidents, 2 structure fires, 1 brush and grass fire, 1 wires down call, a good intent call, a carbon monoxide alarm, and a hazmat request. The paid ambulance, as you can see, responded 54 times. The volunteer ambulance responded 7 times, and we had 18 alarms, 18 EMS calls for NDP's crew where the members went and assisted. We responded mutual aid for fire calls 3 times and 5 times for EMS calls, and we had mutual aid come in 5 times for EMS calls. So a little down a little bit month as far as activity for the month. 73 is a little slow for March. It's more in line with February, but everything else is doing well.
Ted, what's a good intent call?
I would have to go back and look and see what that was. Typically that would be a call where a problem is reported, an emergency is reported, and it turns out there wasn't one, but there was no malicious. It's not a malicious false alarm. It's more of someone calling in an alarm. A well-intentioned 911 call that turned out not to be necessary, sort of.
Okay.
I'm not
Thank
sure
you.
what that particular one was. I made a mental note of it the other day when I did my report, because I said somebody's going to ask me what that meant, and I forget what it was now.
I feel like I haven't seen that category before, so thank you.
We don't categorize many of our calls that way. A couple a year might get dropped into that category just because we don't have anywhere else to put them.
Okay.
As I say, I'm not sure what that particular one was, but usually it's just an honest mistake on somebody's part, like an odor of something that turns out to be nothing, or something along those lines.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Ted? Ted and Matt, I sent you guys an email back in the early part of, before I went on vacation, probably about April 10th or something, asking you to verify some insurance information regarding the values of the building contents. And I think just checking to make sure the vehicle list is up to date, that all the vehicles are on the list. Did you see that email?
I must have missed that one. I can take care of the vehicle ones. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay. And Matt, did you see the one?
Yeah, I did see that. I actually have to go back and reread that. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, please do, because I just want you guys to give me the okay or the right estimates. I mean, just guesstimates on your part, but I think you guessing is much better than me guessing. All right.
Yep.
And I did have a follow-up regarding, you just provide me the COVID protocols, but I saw those nicely posted on the window yesterday at the firehouse. You're going to give me a copy of that so I can put it on my file?
Yep. I'm going to scan it into my phone and send it to you.
All right. That was very impressive. I like that, how you had it posted there, and that was very complete. Thanks for that. Where are you guys on the roof bids? What's your plan of attack for the roof?
I talked with Sarah the other day at the Village Hall. Once the once we get into the next budget year, I will sit down and do up a list of stuff that we will be looking for the new roof and bring it to Sarah and talk with her and go from there.
All right, good. All right, any more questions for Matt or Ted? All right, thanks, guys. Let's move on. Jared? Officer Witt?
Hello, I got to play catch up a little bit. We were having some difficulties. I know Karen was talking about major expenses coming up. We have to get the new vehicle light, the emergency lights and lettering. I know that's been budgeted and there was a separate thing for that, but that is still outstanding and hopefully done before the end of the year. And our current Ford 7K251 is going to need tires before the end of the year. We tried to push it off as long as we could, but it's starting to become a safety issue now. So that'll be somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000 for the tires on that. And also that vehicle is going to need some repairs coming up. I spoke to you about this the other day, Tim. Just because we've been, our saga with the new car and trying to get it, how it's been over a year since we've been trying to get this car. We've relied a little heavier on our current Ford. So it's taking a little bit of a beating more than it should have. So there's a couple of repairs. I would hope that won't be more than $1,000 also before the end of the year, just to make sure that that's safe enough for our officers to continue using.
Okay, so by the way, I mean, tires is a no-brainer. That's safety, right? Making the car roadworthy, no-brainer. Go back to the new car. Is the cost of all the lights and all the add-ons included in the amount we got a loan for?
Yes, it is. I just wanted to make sure that everyone remembered that, when that comes across, it is already included, but it's going to be a big scary bill of, I don't know, about $15,000.
Okay. But just to be clear, to Sarah, I mean, that's money we have in the checking account to be paid when it due.
Yes, it was included in that ban we put out.
Good. All right. So
All right.
that's good to know, Officer Whip, but it's not really an issue as far as us making the general fund numbers for the year. That's fine.
Again, I was having some difficulties. I missed most of the audio and my microphone wasn't working, so I couldn't join in.
All right.
So, and then just a quick refresher on that first public permit you issued for,
Yeah.
because I could see you talking, but I couldn't hear you. And I know I think it's the same thing as we did last year.
Yeah, right. It's June 6th with a rain date of June 13th.
June 6th. Okay.
The session starts after the new mass begins. He said at 1:15, ends at 2:15.
Okay.
And of course, they'd like traffic control.
The mass ends at 2:15 or the
No.
procession?
No. Okay, so it's after the noon mass. It's supposed to start at 1:15
Okay.
and ends at 2:15.
Okay. I think that catches us up. Memorial Day is the same as usual. I was kind of present for that one.
Right.
Okay. So now I'm all caught up. Sorry, everyone.
Okay, now you're on. It's your chart.
All right, here's our monthly report for the month of March. We had a total of 137 incidents. The incident numbers are listed there below. The department issued 23 traffic tickets, 7 parking tickets. We handled 3 property damage auto accidents. We had 11 vehicle and traffic complaints, 4 disabled vehicles, and 2 road hazard issues that we assisted with. We assisted other police agencies 11 times, the fire department 5 times, and EMS 12 times. We also assisted the Millbrook Central School with 2 of their lockdown drills, and the town of Washington Court with their security for their court sessions. As for criminal activity, there were 2 arrests made in the month of March. We had 1 drug complaint. We had 3 criminal mischief, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 trespass, 1 noise complaint, and 1 domestic incident. Community service wise, we had 2 suspicious activities, 1 assist the citizen. We completed 30 house checks, 4 property checks, 4 burglar alarms, 3 lost and found properties, 2 lockouts, 3 FOIL requests, 2 civil complaints, 1 funeral detail was, we assisted with the funeral detail for a past Unionville chief that was held here in the village. We had 7 animal complaints, 2 welfare checks, 1 mental health incident, and 1 other. It just fell in none of the categories. So that's our activity for March of this year.
Any questions from the board regarding Officer Witt's report?
No.
No.
Can you tell me which of these required help from additional officers? For example, when you do an arrest, is it a default that you call for help?
Depends on the nature of the arrest. These so with the bail reforms that were enacted last year, a majority of the arrests made in New York State now you're issuing only an appearance ticket. So these 2 in particular were vehicle and traffic related. So there was no additional officers needed for that. So you're issuing tickets, you're completing some paperwork and issuing an appearance ticket, telling them to come back to court at a later date. So those type of arrests can be done roadside without any additional personnel needed.
I see. Okay. So it depends. Right.
There's very few things that will require, well, not very few. There's a lot fewer things that require a full custody arrest anymore, unless they need to be fingerprinted and photographed and things like that.
All right.
And again, depending on the nature of the crime, the nature of the complaint, and the behavior of the defendant, sometimes it's not warranted to bring in a second person.
Right.
I kind of leave that up to the discretion of my officers if they don't feel comfortable completing it by themselves, to please, let me know, and we'll make arrangements for safety issues to have someone else come in. And if none of our officers are available, which is preferable, we could seek assistance from outside agencies just for safety concerns.
Okay. All right, good. The two Town of Washington Court, is that where we're just standing guard while the court is in session?
Yes, where we had been requested to be present for their court sessions. Yes.
Okay, fine.
I had one more thing. Sergeant Scribner did submit his resignation after 24 years of service to the village of Millbrook. He's moved out of the area, and with some of the things going on in his life, he's decided to move on from here. So I would like to thank him. He's actually the one who hired me, got me rolling here in the village of Millbrook, and I'd like to express our gratitude for his 24 years of service.
I agree with that. Very, very, very good. Well said. Yes, he deserves it. He was the most senior officer on the force, right?
He was.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a long time. Anyone else have questions for Officer Witt?
Not a question, but just so Officer Witt's aware, two things that I had a volunteer for someone who wanted to be the representative for the Civilian Review Board. And I just wanted to be able to share that with you. His name, you know him, Mike Murphy. He was on the Police Reform Committee that helped us do all the police reform plan. And secondly, I've received materials from the town of Poughkeepsie on how they function with their own civilian review boards, as well as their civilian review complaints when someone wants to make a formal complaint. And I wanted to sit down with you so we could go over those, those items together when it's convenient for you to do, be near the end of a shift or when it works for you, so it wouldn't impact your schedule of regular police patrols.
We can, we'll talk offline and get together with that.
It will be sometime next week, not this week, but sometime next week. So
absolutely, feel free to give me a call. I don't want to particularly broadcast my schedule for everyone to hear. So if you want to give me a call anytime, we'll set that up.
Okay, I just wanted to give you the heads up. That's all. I don't want to broadcast schedule either. Okay.
Broadcast your schedule. I thought you were available 24/7.
It seems that way sometimes.
That's what I assume. When do we get an update to the action plan?
I can tell you where I am right now, and Officer Witt can jump in, but essentially, as I just indicated, we've taken care of making sure that we're getting materials to get the Civilian Review Board running, and procedures set up so that if someone has to make a formal complaint that something's intact, that we can set up. In terms of other aspects of the plan itself, individual trustees have been given the responsibility of doing certain things, and they would have to report on exactly where they are with those different items. But in terms of what I'm responsible for, The only other thing that I'm in the process of doing now is, and I'm gonna get help from Officer Witt, but essentially I have to get a hold of the sheriff's, the sheriff's department policy book so that we can compare the policy book that they have, which has been updated recently, to our own, which has not been done in decades. So we need to be able to start the work of sitting down and being able to do that. And that's going to be ongoing for the rest of the year.
So, hey, Mike, so let's do this. Let's, for the next month's meeting, let's bring in the action plan and we'll just go through item by item. And whoever's responsible can speak to the status of each of the items. How's that?
That's fine with me, because that'll give
Okay.
other trustees a chance to maybe make headway if they haven't already on some of the items that they've been assigned. So,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we just stay focused on it. And we've got people identified for each of the items. Let's just give us some time here to go off and start working on some plans.
okay, that's
All right, so
fine.
next month we'll make it an item and we'll actually present the action plan and we'll go from there.
That sounds great.
Okay, any other discussions for police?
Now, the policies and procedures we had outlined in that plan to be completed by 2022. So again, I know going back to what one of the first discussions about, maintaining or trying to reduce overtime and things like that. So I'm more than happy to plug through these plans, but also know that sometimes it cannot be done within the confines of my regular patrol hours.
Yeah, sure.
So we do need, I don't know if we need to focus more on pushing it possibly into next year so that we fiscal year some of the items so that we're not going over the expenditure, the personal services line. But there's only so much that I can get done during my regular patrol while again doing all the in-charge duties that I have to complete.
No, I understand, but listen, we put the plan in place, we put in target dates based on what we thought was reasonable. However, it's much more important to me that we do it right. Which
I
means
can,
if the schedule needs to move out, the schedule moves out. I just want to know that we're not forgetting about it. There's on our minds. And sure, as other stuff comes up, we're gonna, push it out. But we're gonna work on it until it's done. And if it's 2022, that's fine. Okay, I'm okay with that.
I'm just trying to pull all of the points in from the whole meeting. So,
All right, sure. Okay, good. All right, let's move on. Highway, Bob, you're up.
Yeah, hi. Okay, for March 2021, we cleaned and discarded all unwanted items from the police garage, courtroom, and village hall basement. Repaired a catch basin on Church Street. We primed and painted rust areas on the truck beds. Put up the tennis nets. We removed all the sanders from the trucks. We poured concrete around the Central Hudson line poles on Alden and on the corner of Franklin sidewalk. That's where Central Hudson removed the poles, replaced them with another pole, but didn't repair the sidewalk that the pole was pulled out of. We serviced all the lawnmowers, repaired the area around the water shutoff on Deneen. We repaired a manhole cover on Church Street. Did our regular pickup of street garbage. Patched the area around sewer repair on Reservoir. Of course, we have continuing pothole repair. And brush pickup is in full swing. That lasts until June 1st. And we have street cleaning and crosswalk painting scheduled for May. And the paving of Bennett and Exmoor is scheduled for June 27th.
Any questions for Bob?
Just one other item, and that is have you been in contact with Twin Brooks at this point to set up when they're gonna plant the 2 trees we have for this fiscal year that are planned, one on Merritt Avenue and one on Elm Drive?
Yes, and he is going to get back to me with a solid date.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it gets done before the end of the fiscal year. Of course, we do have money in the shade tree account for 2 trees, so.
Dennis said he would get back to me with a solid date to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
So Bob, so last time you were saying you couldn't find anybody, Easy Street went out of business. So you've got somebody, or you've got some people?
Yeah, unfortunately, there isn't any company that does all 3 items that Easy Street used to do. Easy Street would sweep the streets. They also did the painting of the crosswalks and stop lines, and they also did the vacuuming of the catch basins in the summer. It doesn't appear that I couldn't find anybody that would do all 3. So we have 3 different companies that came in with the lowest bids to do those items.
And that's this fiscal year item expense?
Yeah, these are, well, the catch basins, no, the catch basins are next year, next fiscal year. The line painting and street sweeping will be in this budget, and they have been budgeted for. The line painting is $1,750.
Okay,
And the street sweeping, it depends on how many hours we have them. I believe it's $125 an hour, and we usually
All right.
have about 6 hours.
and I think we discussed this, but when Bob Turner comes out to do the roof on the back of the hall, you're also gonna have him get up on the top of the roof of the main building and look and see what's the story with the roof and the gutters up
Yes.
there?
I asked him to do that after he has completed the roof.
All right, good. And where are we with the streetlights? The 2 streetlights that are not working? One at in front of the corner of Church and Franklin, and the other one across the street in front of the
Fox and Hare.
Fox and the Hare, right?
Well, we were holding off on those until the new budget, to the new.
Is that right? Okay, next year.
Yeah.
And is it Mike Schultz is gonna do that work?
Yes, he'll follow
Okay.
through with that.
All right. Okay, good. Any other questions for Bob?
The only other thing is which really isn't well, it is our concern, but the flower barrels are all set with the flowers, and we'll be again this year putting them out. And I've already spoken with Kevin and Millbrook Gardens, and everything is rolling forward on that.
And we put out you put out the barrels with the dirt, and then somebody else comes and plants?
Yeah, we'll be putting out the barrels. We pick up the geraniums from Millbrook Gardens, and the day before they're planted, or usually actually the same morning, we'll set the plants in the barrels, and then they're planted by, I believe, the Garden Club.
Okay, where they are.
Traditionally, that's who usually plants them.
Well, they had a lot of help last year. I'm not sure who the volunteers were, but I know they had quite a few volunteers.
Do we have a focal point for the Garden Club, or are they part of the MBA, or what? Who's the Garden Club?
Well, Cornell is the last name of the person who is in charge, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a separate group. It's not part of the MBA. They may have volunteers from the MBA who give them a hand, since the planting goes on in front of their shops primarily. But still, that's something that's done by the Garden Club. And
All right. All right, and while Bob's on, let me just say that I talked to Kevin McLaughlin today, who hooked me up with, oh wait, sounds like Kevin's coming in off mute. Kevin?
It's the Nine Partners Garden Club, not the Millbrook Garden Club.
It's the Nine Partners Garden Club. Okay, thank you. I talked to Kevin McLaughlin today. He talked to Rich Renia, who I called their office, and talked to one of the engineers who's going to get back to us with a proposal for a quote to do an engineering sizing of the sidewalk replacement activity for the whole village. Okay,
Very good.
so it's Rich Renia's group. That's the one that Ken used before over LaGrange. And so we're taking his recommendation, and I'll let you know when I get feedback from Renia's company on what the proposal is. All right?
Very good.
Yes. And Tim, do we have any other engineers lined up? Because when we do end up being able to do this, I know it's professional services, so we do have some discretion there. But instead of just picking someone, are we advertising that we are going to go out and go to bid on this? Meaning that some other local engineers might be available, or might want to participate or put in a bid for what it would cost to do the review we want.
Actually, Mike, I was thinking not, and here's the reason why.
Okay.
All I really want is a report from an engineering firm that says, here's an estimate of the kind of work and the kind of cost we're talking about, that we can use that then to start pursuing funding. I think, and once we get the funding lined up, then we can actually go to bid for that, for the actual work.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm more worried about just getting the engineering work done, so we have a number that we can banner about to say, here's the kind of funding we're looking to try to get. And then we're gonna set you and Vicky off, and you're gonna go like crazy to find us all kinds of money.
Yeah, well, I do have the pictures and the photographs that I sent
Right.
off to the county already, and they're supposed to be evaluating to find out if we would qualify for a grant through them with one of their one of their programs that they have at a county level.
All
So
right, good.
I haven't heard back from them in about 3 weeks.
All right, that's fine. But I just want to hear, want an engineering firm to tell us, here's the work scope and here's an estimate of what it's going to cost. And that's what we can start off with. All right.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Vicky, any comments about that or questions?
No, I mean, I think we need to know what the scope of the work is.
Yeah.
We can't rationally start looking at any of the funding that may be available until we know that.
That's right. Okay, good. Okay, any other questions for Bob?
No.
By the way, Bob, thanks for cleaning up all the stuff in the village hall for us. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Of course, you did leave that big leather chair upstairs for some unknown reason, but anyway, I'll just. That's for next year. Okay, Scott, you're up.
All right. We'll start with the water. For the month of March, total water produced was 4,455,653 gallons. Average daily flow was 143,700 gallons. Performed all monthly maintenance and sampling. Repaired 4 water meters and replaced 2 others. We read all the water meters. Had the fire extinguishers serviced by CryoWeld. And Adam Spence has replaced the damaged fence post on the new gate, and the gate is on order. And I believe it's supposed to be delivered on the 27th, which is next Tuesday.
And most of that expense is going to be covered by insurance. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Very good. Not all of it, most of it. What's going on with the filters? You showed us that the filters were doing an excellent job of sorting out particulates.
Yes.
Are you, what's the periodicity that you're cleaning the filters?
Originally we did every, I think it was every 3 weeks. Now we're down to, actually Mike just did them today, so that was about 2 weeks. So we're still trying to find the best procedure and practice. It's everything's new for us, so it's all learning on the fly. So
yeah,
eventually we'll get it down. We'll have a procedure in place, and we'll go with that.
And so when you said you replace after 3 weeks, what do you clean? You clean the,
Clean them, we pull them out, clean them, hose them down. And then we actually replace them. Let's see, we're April, end of March. So they lasted about 3 months. So I was hoping to get longer out of them, but we're cleaning them more often now. So we're hoping to get more time out of them. But like I said, everything's new. We're all learning at the same time. So,
Yep.
um,
so when you say you replace the 10, the 5, and the 1 micron all at the same time?
yeah, correct.
Okay. And you can clean the 10 micron and the 5 micron, but you can't clean the 1 micron, is that true?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Are you comfortable that we got money in the budget to be able to handle the replacement of these filters? Or it's too early to know?
That's a good question. I'd have to look at that. We'll be fine until June, of course, but next year I might have to look at that. But we can deal with it.
All right.
We can take something else out that I was gonna do, and filters are more important. So
Yeah,
So
if
right.
I gotta order more, I'll put something else off. That's all.
All right, good, good. Now, I saw a nice note from Bill Bright saying that the Board of Health approved the facility. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the State Health Department has given us final approval, completion of the project. So now everything is official.
Congratulations, well done. That's good news.
very good news.
Yeah. You had published the annual water quality report. That's now posted online, right?
That's correct.
And I asked, I don't know if I said this to the other trustees, but I asked Scott why there was no lead report in there. And Scott said the reason is because the lead was non-detectable. And so therefore we don't need to report the lead.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep. Typically on the annual water quality report, the only thing we are required to report is anything that was detectable, that was tested within the last year. And usually we report even stuff that we did years prior. Because certain things are every 3 years, but here in the village, we actually end up testing most of the stuff every year because of the system we have. But
all right.
so, yeah, the
Now,
lead was
is it good?
non-detect, so that's a good thing.
All right, that is a good thing. The testing for the PFOAs, the PFOSs, and the dioxane,
Yes,
that also came out good.
non-detect.
That's not part of your annual report, though?
Well, the annual report was from last year. So
Oh.
it goes out, the annual report is for the prior year. So it's due by May 31st of this year. So it would be everything that we did last year.
Okay,
So the PFOAs for Millbrook and for a lot of places, the requirement didn't start until February 25th
oh, okay,
of this year. Larger systems were required to do it by November of last year. We were not, so I didn't do them until February. But we have to do that every quarter. So I have another round to do in May.
okay, so the good news is that the first test for those 3 contaminants were non-detectable,
Correct.
even though the limits are like parts per trillion. You can get
Yes.
your arms around that.
And the state limits are lower than the federal limits by a lot.
Right. Actually, the federal has just like an advisory limit, I think, right?
Yeah.
But you're right, the state numbers are much lower.
The state limit is 10 parts per trillion.
Yeah,
And I think the federal is, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's somewhere around 50 or 60 parts per trillion.
yeah, I think I saw 70 from the
Might be even
EPA
more, but
advisory.
something like that.
All right, so that's really good news,
Yes,
but we have a requirement to do the same test every 3 months, you're saying.
that's correct.
All right,
And the hope is that if all goes well, that the state will allow us to do it less often, but we haven't heard anything from them on that front
Okay.
here or anywhere for that matter.
Now, given that these three contaminants, the PFOA, the PFOSs, and the dioxide are so prevalent, like what the one is, it's used in nonstick cookware. The dioxane is like, it's an ether. It's used for all kinds of cleaning stuff. And I guess the other one is used for, I think I heard for fire extinguisher foam or something. But anyway,
Yep.
they're quite prevalent. There's a chance we're gonna at some point pick some up, right? If we're talking about PPTs, what happens if we detect it? What's the action required?
Well, I don't know what it would be here. We have had a couple systems that we operate that have had it, and they basically told them they can't drink the water.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, let's not go there.
Okay,
I don't want to think about worst case scenarios, but it is treatable. There are treatments for it. Most of it, from what I understand, is carbon filters.
okay.
But we'll see. So far, we've been all right.
All right. So far, but it's just one test so far. So,
Correct.
all right.
Yep.
Something for the future. Any more questions for Scott regarding water or sewer? Oh, just water.
Yeah.
We just did water. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick ones. Scott, and I know you were not able to be there at the inspection last week, but there are two of the things that were brought up at the inspection. One was the fact that the water department is responsible for getting any further equipment we need in the in the filtration room itself. And the inspector, when I was there, was saying that he thought it would be a good idea to get a dehumidifier in there for the summer months, because he felt that even though we had automatic fan systems that will keep the heat down in that room, that the moisture levels might end up being a problem with the computer things we have working in there in conjunction with the pump house. So that's something that he was looking to see happen at the, inside that facility. And the second thing he pointed out that you and I have discussed already was the section of fence that goes from where the new fencing ends and where the stream is, the Sawbrook that runs adjacent to the building.
Right.
And I was just curious as to how much you thought it would be, especially since Adams has to come back in order to be able to replace the gate. Is that something that you're thinking of trying to get accomplished fairly soon? Because I'm assuming when they get the gate part they need, they're going to come out and make one trip. So,
Yeah. I know as of last time we were all out there, I thought you guys might were looking at insurance for that, but since a tree fell on it. But if that's not the case, I will have to get them out there to give me an estimate on fixing that or replacing it probably. I have no idea what it's going to cost. I didn't put it in the budget. I did put it in the budget for next year to replace the fence on the opposite side. So, we could always, when I get a price for that, I can have them do that separately and then we can figure out what we want to do.
yeah, well, it's not something that had to be completed in order to be able to get the certificate of compliance and,
Right.
Move forward. But, I just wanted to see if that was something that would be happening between now and the end of the fiscal year, that's all. And going forward into the summer with purchase of a dehumidifier. Beyond that, there were no other negative comments about anything. So, we were in good shape after the inspection.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the discussion about the part. So across the stream, you're saying where the tree fell on the fence? You're talking about repairing that?
Well, when you were out there, Tim, with me, and this goes back a good 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and the contractor from Milnes was there, I pointed to that section and said I wasn't sure if, either the Board of Health or Homeland Security or somebody was going to be picky about the fact that the fence was damaged in that part of the water treatment plant. And we would insist on being replaced, and if so, when? And at the time, the gentleman we spoke to from Mills said, oh, we'll take care of that. But it never got done, and Mills is now out of the picture. So it's going to end up being our responsibility, whether we do it through insurance or whatever, to to be able to look at it and see just how much of a priority is, and whether we want to do it this between June and December, or how it gets done. That's all.
All right, I mean, between you and I, the way that thing fell on the fence and the way all the brush is there, that's probably better than any fence they can put up.
Yeah, you get enough razor wire thrown over there, I guess that would help too, but.
All right,
I'm
good. I'll pay for one strand of razor wire.
Okay, but in the meantime, I just wanted to make sure that was something that we hadn't technically forgotten about, so to speak, because it did come up for discussion at the inspection.
Okay. I mean, let's put it off. If we can talk about it later, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
After all the brush has turned green and now it's even thicker than it is before.
Right.
Okay, let's walk into sewer, Scott.
All right. All right, so for the month of March, we had a total effluent flow of 5,342,726 gallons. Average daily flow is 172,300 gallons at 2.5 inches of precipitation. We performed all monthly maintenance and sampling. We cleaned the filter beds, pumped sludge to the drying bed. We cleaned out clarifier number 1, inspected the drive shaft bearings that we'll need to replace. We repaired the damaged flight chain, which had since broke again last week while I was on vacation. We repaired it again. That's what I was getting to earlier in our discussion about the clarifier. At some point, we're going to have to really rebuild it, which we did about 14 years ago, once before. But I'm trying to see if we can't hold off till after June. Right now, we're doing all right. Had Flowtech out here to perform the annual flow meter calibrations. Cryoworld serviced all the fire extinguishers, and we cleaned up the yard from the winter.
All right, so if you need to do the replacement of the clarifier, just let us know.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna work on getting prices and everything, so we'll be ready to go whenever we need to.
Good. Any questions for Scott regarding sewer?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
No question.
all right. Okay, any other final questions for Scott before he goes? All right, thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Good evening, everybody.
good evening.
I am going to start by reading the treasurer's report, and the balances ending for the tax account was $16,723.33 for general fund, $467,184.32. Water fund, $83,913.12. And sewer fund, $98,307.62. You guys should have gotten the operating statement that was emailed out earlier. We passed the budget, which is awesome. Very, very good. And it was team effort all around.
That's right.
Submitted the tax cap compliance and the constitutional tax limit forms, and those are required by New York State. Submitted the local law number 1 of 2021 for the tax override to the state. I have not heard yet, but I plan to hear probably end of the week, maybe next week. But I'll let you guys know when that comes in.
Okay,
I did set up the new bank account for the repair reserve. So I do plan to do the transfer by the end of the week since it was just set up and I only just got the checkbooks this week.
Okay,
So we'll be working on the budget adjustments for the May meeting. So I assume I'll have mayor input, Karen and Nicole. And just I'm keeping working on the tax preparations. There's just a lot of forms I have to fill out before they go out. And then gearing up for the AUD. So that's all I have for treasurer.
so for the tax preparation, these are the bills you're gonna be sending out in June that you gotta get to the county, I think, because they orchestrate all this for you.
Yep.
There will be no levy of delinquent bills. Is that true for this year?
That's correct.
Okay, so no re-levying.
No,
That's because of the a state of emergency declared by the state for the pandemic.
right. It was extended.
Yes. Okay. So does the board understand that? Any questions about that from the board? Okay. Just looking at the treasurer's report. A couple of comments. Just notice the Bedrock well account still has $35,000 in it. All right, and hopefully with the approval of the Board of Health, we are on a straight line to get our final reimbursement from the state of our grant money so we can pay the Milnes remaining invoices. We have one still in hand of about $110,000, right?
Correct.
We've had for over a month.
Yeah.
We expect another one.
Yeah, Mary from Delaware Engineering sent me a couple of forms to sign. So I signed that late last week.
Okay,
So I'm hopeful that probably by the end of the week, she said that we should hear something.
okay. Now is Karen still there?
No, she left.
Ah, okay. So the medical deductible. See the balance there, 35,000?
Mhm.
We had discussed, we're gonna end the year with that back around 20,000, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, so could you just follow up with her, just to determine how you're gonna time that to make sure that by the end of May, that money is moved out of that deductible category to another area in the general fund?
Sure.
I don't want to carry that over into the following fiscal year.
Will do.
Let me go on the rest of it here. There's the ambulance reserve, see the $35,061. So that's when you set up this repair reserve.
Yep.
We're going to take 20,000 of that. I don't know if Matt and Ted are still on,
I don't see them.
but 20,000 is going to go towards the new roof. And 15,000 is going to stay there for the volunteer rescue squad to use for additional equipment and materials as they need it. That's what we agreed to with one of the resolutions we passed during the budget.
Correct.
Let's see what else we got here. The tennis
And
court.
we are getting donations for the tennis court. I think that's where you're going, but
Yes, okay, fine.
yep.
So there, the numbers at 9,700. We're trying to get the 20,000 for that. There's Mike's trees he talked about.
Mhm.
What's the village tree garden donations? What is that $10,000? What is that used for?
I'd have to look. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'll have to look and see what we've used it for in the past or
Yeah, okay, fine.
where it's coming for. Yeah.
And there's the village hall restoration, the 6,000. We're gonna put towards the 7,000 to replace the roof in the back of the hall.
Correct.
Okay. And I do want to follow up with you and Karen on this question about budget adjustments.
Yep.
All right.
I figured as much.
Any other questions for Sarah regarding the treasurer's report?
I have a question.
Yes.
One of our constituents raised with me whether we've ever considered using PayPal for making, say, contributions to tennis courts or paying taxes or fines or any of that. Have we thought about credit card payments, PayPal, anything for making these kinds of payments? Or we just haven't thought about it yet and maybe we can look into it? I'd be happy to take that on.
A few years ago, we did have the option for credit card, but the fee ended up being too much for people, especially with the tax bill, because it was based on a percentage. So most people did not take advantage of it.
What about for fines and donations, things like that?
I have not
Smaller
looked
items.
into it for the fines. We set it up for the purpose of the taxes, and it didn't go anywhere. So, but it was a few years ago, so there might be better options currently. I just haven't looked into it.
I'd be happy to work on that with you because even if it doesn't work for big tax bills,
Mhm.
certainly in my experience, for other kinds of things, it's usually a useful incentive to get people to donate, and they don't mind picking up, the extra cost of the credit card fee. That can be completely passed along to the people who donate.
Okay, we can certainly look into that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
By the way, the VRI does accept credit card payments for the water sewer bills, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, any questions for Sarah on the treasurer's report?
Just exactly, I just want to double check on the amount of money we still owed Mills. I think the figure we just heard was somewhere around $110,000. Is that accurate?
That's an in-hand invoice we've got, and we expect another invoice from them, probably a little more than that.
Because I was going to say, I thought the amount of money that we owed them out of they said originally the budget for the whole project was going to be about 1.4 million. And, I thought we had a higher amount that we still were owed that were part of that. We were waiting for the final payment of over $200,000 from the EFC to be able to give them that final payment.
Yeah, right. I don't think Sarah's got the invoice nearby, but I think the invoice we have in hand is like $110,000.
Right,
We are owed about $285,000 from EFC, from New York State,
right,
and $19,000 from Dutchess County.
correct.
All right. I think those two together, plus what you see in the current Bedrock Well account of $35,000 is more than enough to pay those remaining bills. It's just the timing is going to be, at some point, Mills is going to say, you've had this invoice for over a month, where's my money? And we'll turn to New York State and say, where's our money?
Right. No, I get the progression because we've discussed it. I just wanted to see if we were ending up with more money than we expected from all the accounts together in order to be able to cover the cost of the project. That's all.
Yeah, I think there's a buffer. I'm reluctant to say how much because it's been so long that we've looked at it because we just don't know what all Mills was doing to just button everything up. So we're just
Okay.
gonna wait for the the shoe to fall where it is, and then we'll pay those bills.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
I have no indication that we are any worse off than we were before, in which I thought we had a little buffer. Okay,
That's good to know.
okay, all right. Okay, Sarah, you want to go to the building report?
Sure. Okay, so for the month of March, we collected a total of $825. We issued 3 building permits, 1 sign permit. We didn't issue any certificate of occupancies. We issued 2 certificate of compliances and no certificate of uses. And we had 1 municipal search. For planning and zoning, the April meeting had been canceled due to lack of agenda. And I have no updates for ZBA.
Okay, by the way, I did attend the ZBA meeting last month, or was it this month? I forget. And asked Andy Doro, who's the chair, to identify a specific date every month that they have on the calendar for a ZBA meeting. So the idea is that one is the date's there, and if there's no agenda, they cancel it.
Right.
As opposed to whenever they need a ZBA meeting, then they scurry around trying to get a quorum of people to attend. So the idea is, like the planning board, whatever the date is of the month, it's the second Monday of the month, then the ZBA will be the third Monday of the month, just so it's a regular scheduled event. And they did agree on that, and I think Andy and Regina are gonna follow up to put that in place. So henceforth, we'll do it that way, which is, if there's nothing on the agenda, they'll cancel the meeting, but the default
Okay.
is the meeting. All right,
That's a good plan.
okay.
He hasn't come in for his oath of office either. FYI.
Okay, duly noted, again. All right. Okay, board updates. No, Ian.
Yes.
Well, you spoke about the 3 trust funds, the Lamont Christmas Tree, the Haight, and the 9 Partners Trust. What happened is I got a letter from the Attorney General's office. If you recall, the last time that I attended meeting, which I think was your February meeting, I said that under not-for-profit corporation law, there's a procedure you can follow if you're talking about restricted funds under $100,000, where you give notice to the Attorney General. If you don't hear back from them in 90 days, you can unrestrict the funds. You're still required to generally use the funds for the intended purpose to the extent that you can. There's a practicalness to that, but you're not restricted to just using the income, which was not practical at all. These funds did not produce any. In the interim, I got a letter from the Attorney General's office in Poughkeepsie saying we have no objection. Attorney General has no objection to you unrestricting the funds. So that's good news. You didn't have to wait the full 90 days, and you're now free to use those funds again for as best you can for the intended purpose, but you're not restricted to just using the funds for or just using the income from the funds.
Excellent work. Thank you very much, Ian.
You're welcome. And the only other thing is the Thorne building. My understanding is we're getting close to scheduling a closing there. I don't know if there's any update that you have for me.
Yeah, actually, I was going to discuss that on my end. Let's just cover it right now. So I got a call from George Whalen III, and they were imminently ready to sign the contract with MECEC. You know, right now, the village has an agreement, a contract with MECEC, allowing them to have their playground on the band shell property up there. And so as part of the transfer to the LLC has to put a contract in place with them as well. That was supposed to have been signed last week. I contacted George this morning. He said it's not quite done yet, but he's optimistic. And that should clear the way for us to have a closing as soon as this month.
Okay.
All right. He says the title policy is ready. I actually sent an email to Josh, may have copied you, I forget, on the status from the conversation I had with George, just so you guys are ready. And all I can tell the rest of the people here is that we are very close, but I don't have an actual date for the closing. That's why I asked George, let's set a closing date and then I'll get everyone to organize themselves together. Haven't heard back from that yet. So hopefully this month, if not next, we're able to actually do the signing and transfer the deed over to the LLC and get that ball rolling. Okay.
Good.
Any questions from the board members about that? Okay. Anything else, Ian?
No, that was it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, trustee updates. Deputy Mayor Herzog.
Okay, some of this I've covered already, so I'll just mention it briefly and then answer questions, but I did attend the water treatment the water treatment facility for the inspection by the Department of Health last Wednesday, and walked through all the facilities there with the inspector. It went very well. He was very impressed. And we discussed a number of things along with Bill Bright and other representatives who were there from Delaware Engineering, as well as with Mike, who from VRI. So it went well, and I was pleased that he said that he was very quick to say he would be happy to get the certificate to us as soon as possible, given the fact that we can't close and pay bills to Mills and other people involved in the project until we get money from the EFC, which couldn't happen until we had that certificate. So I'm thrilled that we finally got it today, which is good. Also, as I indicated, I've been in contact with Mike Murphy to agree to be on the Civilian Review Board. I attended the CAC meeting back on April 7th, which was a Zoom meeting. I've attended numerous meetings for the planning board, with the Town of Washington Planning Board concerning Migdale as the representative from the village. And for anyone who has any questions, that project is now on hold, and that's where it's going to stay for right now until the town decides to go looking into the comprehensive plan and making having a moratorium on any new plans made for building on any estates of more than 200 acres. So that's kind of all on hold right now. And that's about it.
Okay, good. Any questions for Deputy Mayor Herzog? Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Trustee Contino?
I mainly have to report really a thank you, Tim, for responding so quickly to the constituent concerns about the Stewart's parking lot. I know it's a work in progress, that we have to be vigilant about the potential for litter reemerging there, but from, cleaning up the grates, getting rid of the dead bird that was there, getting rid of some of the dead cars that were there.
Well, okay.
Yeah, they're working on it. Pruning all the trees so that folks can get in and out of the parking lot more safely. I think it was a really important job, and I thank you for getting on it yourself so quickly for the village. So
You also were involved, and thank you for that.
I did my part.
You did your
but
part.
Under your leadership.
And by the way, I went to see the owner of the lot a few weeks ago, and I gave her the phone number for 1-877 Cars for Kids. I gave her the wrong number.
All right, well, we can fix that.
I just went back this afternoon and gave her that number plus 2 others, and she promised she would call. So I'm still pursuing the removal of the red Subaru from the parking lot. That'll be my coup d'etat if we ever do that.
Fantastic.
By the way, what happened with the handicap parking thing that you were looking into for us, a request from a person?
Well, the ball is now back in her court because she didn't give me a phone number, and I had some questions on the letter. So Sarah helped me get a letter out to her. It's now going on several weeks, but she hasn't responded as far as I know. So yes, that's where it is at the moment.
All right. Do we have any issues that we need to address as regarding handicap parking? I mean, from the discussion you and I had, I thought we pretty much had, a lot of handicap parking available throughout the village.
I think we do. I think we certainly have addressed the legal requirements as well as it seems to me on first glance, the need, requirements.
Okay.
However, if one of the issues that she raises is how you get from the bank to the parking lot near the liquor store. How you do that safely, because there is no crosswalk if you're in a chair, for instance. I think that's her issue. I wanted to talk to her about that. So hopefully we'll get in touch. And I think I have some ideas, but I want to explore it with her, obviously, and see if it makes sense to her.
All right, good. Thanks for your follow-up. Any questions for Vicky?
No,
Okay, trustee Arbogast, any update?
I have nothing
That's fine.
Today.
today, exactly.
All right, I've got a couple updates then. First off, I talked to DOT about the repairs they're doing out there on 82 and 44. 82 being from the stoplight headed towards Poughkeepsie.
Yeah,
And then it's 44 going from that V out towards the backside of Millbrook. So they're repairing both sides of the road there, but both pieces of the road. They're going to be doing one side first and then they'll do the other side. It's going to take about 3 weeks, the guy told me, is the estimate, weather permitting. And I got a call again today from him saying, by the way, they have a need to work this Saturday. So they're going to be doing some weekend work as well. So the heads up to the residents is that if one side is being repaired, if they're working on 82, from the stoplight going towards Saw Point, then you should be able to go the other way and be unrestricted, and vice versa. Although we can't tell you what day it's going to be what, all right? So just expect 3 weeks of churn getting into and out of the village. I sent a letter to the DOT a couple weeks ago requesting them to reevaluate, actually to institute some kind of traffic calming around the monument out there by Bennett Commons Road. You know what I'm talking about? The Flagler Monument?
yeah.
Because we've now had 2 accidents in the past year where I think both of them are because of sun obstruction in the morning, sun coming over the hill as you're going out towards Amenia and being unable to see that there's an obstruction right in the middle of the road. My second concern is that traffic coming down the hill around that monument is very risky for people trying to pull out of Bennett Commons Road. Specifically, there's Cardinal Hayes is right there. That building on the corner is Cardinal Hayes, and they have buses that go in and out of there. And I just don't think it's safe. So I asked the director of Cardinal Hayes to send me a letter of support, which I attached to the police reports of the 2 accidents. And I sent off a request to DOT. They have a special number you go to when you want an evaluation of a situation. So I just sent it out a few weeks ago. I'll keep you posted with that, but I really think something needs to be done to slow that traffic going up and down that road around that monument. Any comments about that or questions?
Nope.
All right, and the last thing I got is that Mike and I are having a meeting on Friday with the school district superintendent and one of the assistant principals. And the topic is to discuss the gazebo that's out there by the tennis courts. And I don't know what it's about, but I like the idea of having the discussion just because something needs to be done about that gazebo. So,
They called the meeting?
yeah.
Yes.
Good.
So Mike and I are going to go there and we're going to find out what's going on and we're going to figure out what we need to do to fix that.
Just for information purposes, I've had discussions with Brian Freed concerning that. I've also had some discussions with other individuals who are on the board of education, and I think they recognize the fact that the gazebo as it presently stands is dangerous. It's a liability in the sense that there are parts of it that where the wood is rotten, and they've taken steps to now wrap it completely in orange fencing so people can't occupy the interior of it. But that going forward, since they claim to own 7/8 of the gazebo, I don't know if that's accurate in terms of an exact figure, but they are going to have to look at something to be able to do something about repairing it. They even went out and got an estimate of what a full repair would cost. So I think that's going to be part of the discussion coming Friday, and not so much they want funds from us, but how can we go into a community project mode to be able to get this done? Of course, it's going to be, it's not something that we figured any money in for our budget for 2021-22, but we'll see how it goes.
Mike, of course they're gonna want funds from, what are you talking about? So,
Well, I'm sorry, well, there's two categories. There's wishful thinking, then there's reality. So I'm just trying to point out that they do recognize that it's something that can't stay bound in orange or fencing for, forever. So how we can go about restoring it, and when I say we, meaning a community, total community within the town of Washington, do that.
all right, it'll be a good discussion. I'm anxious to have it. And I'm willing to help out with that if they're willing to help us build a sidewalk from the, on Church Street, from the condos up to the front of the school.
Mhm.
I'd like to do that. It's part of my sidewalk goals anyway. All right, so we'll let you know how the discussion goes on Friday.
Right.
Okay, any questions from the public about any of the topics we discussed today? I need to put an item on the agenda that's public discussion, and I didn't do it again. Any questions or comments from the public? Okay, last item I got is that we do need to fill the trustee position vacated by Kevin. So we'll put out a notice requesting people to submit resumes if they're of interest. I'd appreciate any suggestions from the trustees of candidates that we should pursue. Sometimes it's better to go after people as opposed to wait for them to call us. So if you got ideas, please let me know. I have candidates from the last go around, and I will go reinvigorate those to see if we've got anybody we should talk to again. And I did also get some candidates from the town of Washington as part of their review of candidates to fill out the bonuses job. So I'll put together a note, send out to the trustees as a kickoff for the discussion. And I would appreciate any ideas, suggestions you've got. All right. Okay, with that, the next board meeting is going to be the second Wednesday. Is it always?
Jim, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes, go ahead.
You were asking for public and I was trying to unmute. I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute fast enough.
Wait, are you
I'm still
public?
driving. I'm public. I hope I'm public.
All right, you are public.
One thing that we need to discuss between the village and the MBA is if we need to close Church Street for the restaurants and also for putting up barricades for the restaurants on Franklin Avenue, the diner and the Millbrook Cafe. The diner has already applied for a permit with New York to put up Jersey barricades. I'm not sure I'm still waiting to hear whether the cafe will do it. Because I think to make it safer, I think this year, if they're going to put tables out there, that they should have Jersey barricades. And I want to know how the village board feels about closing Church Street if we need to do that for Barbaro the Deli and Cafe Le Beau. Last year, it was the village that decided to close the street. And I'm hoping that the village will approve to close the street again.
All right, so in my mind, that worked quite well, and I've got no problems with it. Does anyone on the board have a problem with doing the same thing we did last year with the closing of Church Street?
No.
No.
No, I don't have any. My quick question is Jersey barricades. Are we just talking about the wooden stanchions, or are we talking about something more substantial?
All right,
Aren't they concrete?
all right, so first off, let's be clear. The Jersey barriers, we're only talking about on Franklin, right? We're not going to do Jersey barriers on Church, are we?
Correct.
So
The
Church is
Jersey
gonna be-
barriers would.
Okay.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
The Jersey barriers would be for the diner and for the Millbrook Cafe. And then for Church Street, again, using the wooden barricades that they can take out in the evening and put away when they close so that the street can open up again. Now, you know that there was an issue with one of the restaurants, was not happy about it, but last year the village decided that 2 restaurants wanted it closed, 1 didn't, so the 2 won. Majority rule. And this year, I'm not sure whether the deli will want to put out tables.
Okay, and point of note, Kevin, I'd like the village to be supportive of what the MBA wants, all right? So in other words, I
I'm
don't want,
sorry?
I want the village to be supportive of the MBA's direction. So the MBA wants us to close Church Street, and that's why we're gonna do it, okay? In other words,
But Church Street is a village street, so the MBA can't close it themselves.
no. I want the MBA to tell the village this is what they want, and the village will say, yes, we agree, we'll do that. I don't want to be between,
Okay.
I don't want to be between the MBA and the restaurant owners, okay?
Okay,
And as far
okay,
as,
well,
okay,
I will have the board vote. I'm sure that we will vote yes, that we would like the street closed.
okay, good, that's excellent. And as far as the Jersey barriers, I'm looking for the MBA or the restaurant to get approval from the state to be able to put Jersey
Yes, from
barriers
the
on that state road.
Yeah, but I just wanted you to be aware that is in the works right now. Yes, it's a state road, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that it was happening.
Okay, and so does any trustee on the board have a problem with putting Jersey barriers? I assume they're only gonna be on one side of the street, right?
Yes,
All right, so
yes,
given that,
unless Babette wants to do it as well, but I haven't heard from them
I would
about that.
I would really recommend against having Jersey barriers on alternate sides of the street. I think it should be on just one side.
Okay,
And by the way, if you do that, we can't, Bob Colacola can't move those things, so whoever
no,
orders.
I spoke to Bob already. The village does not have the equipment for it, but he believes that the town does have the equipment to be able to move them so that the restaurants could save costs, but we still have to talk to Joe Spagnola.
Okay. All right, so given those guidelines, any trustees have any problems with what he's proposing?
No.
I don't. I just have a question, Kevin. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but are we anticipating having more tables out in front of restaurants this season than we did last?
I would love to have more tables out than we had last. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question the way you're asking it. We're hoping that we have more customers coming to eat in our restaurants where we will need more tables. There are a number of people in the public that think that we should have it, whether we have COVID or not, have tables out on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
Which needs to be discussed.
Because I just didn't remember that the cafe did. I think it's actually, I just was in the city last week and the sidewalks are being used in a fantastic way, you know,
Oh
by
my
the
God, I would
restaurants.
love- Yes,
And I think it would be great for Millbrook myself, but
I agree. But right now, the village in our code has a code that does not allow tables to be out on the sidewalk. I think that the village, I would like to see the village change that code so that the restaurants can always have their tables out on the sidewalk. But that's another issue.
that's different than what, for instance, the cafe wants to
Yes.
do. Okay,
Yes, well, the cafe had tables out there, but right now, because of COVID, the state has given permission for restaurants to put tables out and serve liquor out on the street as well.
I'd like to hold off on the code change until we clear the pandemic and a chance to think this thing through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's another
course,
issue to
yeah,
change
Okay,
this
good.
down the road.
Fine. Okay, so
But right
basically,
now, COVID, we need it.
all right, so basically the board is in agreement with what the MBA's intention is to do. And so just keep us posted, Kevin.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments for the meeting?
And then I just have one other comment. Mike mentioned the trees that are going to be planted. Last fall, it was 3 trees that were going to be planted, one on Elm, one on Merritt, and one near the garage, the village garage. I'm not sure why he's now saying 2. It was supposed to be 3.
Well, if we have the money for 3, that's fine. I know we had $2,500 in the account, and as far as I know, nothing had come out of that account. So if we still have $2,500, whatever that will get us from, from Twin Brooks, then that's fine.
Okay.
I see.
All right, I will talk to Bob and I will talk to Dennis because I know last fall it was 3.
Is that right here, Mike? 7,700?
No, that's tree replacement program. That's not shade tree. The shade
Oh.
tree account is where we take our money to be able to plant new trees. And was budgeted last year for 2021 at $2,500.
Oh, that's the operating statement. Okay.
Yeah, we did not plant any trees last fall because we missed it, so to speak, and we were assured that we were, to do that this year. So
It wasn't that we missed. Twin Brooks was so busy that they didn't have time to plant the 3 trees. And
Right,
And
exactly.
Dennis asked if he could wait till the spring.
Right, yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. We missed it, meaning that we didn't get a chance to be able to have Twin Brooks follow through and do it. And we didn't spend the money anywhere else, so that should still be available as long as we can afford the 3 trees.
Well, here's the operating statement. There's the 2,500 you're talking about.
Right.
There it is. Okay. All right, so the money's there. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Any other final comments? All right, next meeting will be on the second Wednesday. That'll be May 12th, 6 p.m. Can you get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So I move to adjourn the meeting.
In a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I stopped sharing. That's why I just stopped sharing. Now I can end the meeting.